What up, cocksuckers? It is August 26th or the 27th, depending on where in the U.S. you are. It's a super fight week, goddammit. It's not just fight week, but this week we got two UFC events. We got UFC Fight Night 27 this Wednesday, which we will be focusing on tonight, and obviously UFC 164 on Saturday. We're going to cover that in our Friday show. But yeah, we're going to break down UFC Fight Night 27 tonight, which should be a great card, headlined by the rematch of two very, very apt welterweights. We got Carlos Condit and Martin Kampmann, along with a few other fights. We got our boy Kelvin Gastelum fighting. He and Jamie Huey are in Indianapolis. Let's talk about this fight and the week MMA. Cocksuckers! Woo!
You're listening to the MMA Podcast!
One of the few times I was unable to hit the post on the intro. I'm ashamed of myself, but we'll try and get back in a mid-season form. You are listening to the MMA Podcast. If you want to follow us, we are on Twitter at the MMA Podcast, or you could visit themmapodcast.com. As always, the link's at the top. You can get to our YouTube or iTunes channel. We really do appreciate you tuning in, and like we mentioned, there are going to be two shows this week, just because it is a super fight week. So we're going to do a show tonight, Monday night, and then again Friday night, probably at the same time around midnight Eastern. That'll be the night of Friday. What'll that be? Friday the 30th. So tune into that as well. We're joined by the three usual goddamn suspects, and we'll start it off with our boy. He was in Washington, but now he's back home in Queens, New York. Yeah, the truth. What's going on?
What's up, guys? Ready for this podcast? Thanks for tuning in. You'll be entertained.
Are you not entertained, you motherfuckers? We also got Ross. I was about to say Ross the Truth. I don't know why. Ross Finkelstein, who himself, I believe, Wednesday will have something to bring at you, which he actually can get into himself. But where do we find you, and what should we do Wednesday night after the fights, say around midnight Eastern?
Well, first off, you can follow me on Twitter at Ross Finkelstein, E before the L. You already know that, though. Second of all, I'm not the truth, but I am always right. And this Wednesday, after the fights, 12 Eastern, you can find my show for the first time live. Find it on my Twitter. We're going live with the final round post-fight podcast for UFC Fight Night 27. Tune in. We got some surprises.
Surprises in the works. Make sure you tune into that. And the man, he's too sweet to be sour. He is the word on the street. I have a drop literally dedicated to him and his show.
Word on the street.
That wasn't even Ramsey's talking. That was just me playing a goddamn drop. It was the word on the street. It's Ramsey's. Where do we find you, cocksucker?
Thanks a lot, Jake, from the MMA Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at the Aunt Jimmy Show. Look, people, the Aunt Jimmy Show. You gotta follow me on Twitter. I am 87 followers away from reaching 1 million followers. And when I get to 1 million, I'll be giving away free links to the next podcast. Word on the street.
Damn, I'll definitely get a drop of that last word on the street too, because that was a ferocious word on the street. And let's get straight to it. Like I said, most of tonight's episode will be spent talking about UFC Fight Night 27, and luckily we haven't gotten too much as far as MMA news goes. Probably the biggest bit of MMA news people were talking about was Wanderlei Silva coming out with a response video. As we all know, Chael Sonnen, he spoke after his win against Shogun Rua, said 6 foot tall, 205 pounds. I didn't know they could stack crap that high. Tensions were already pretty high with Wanderlei before the fight, and they've only gotten higher. Wanderlei makes this video. Look, any other day we would smash the guy, tear the guy to bits, even on his birthday. But we are going to try and at least be more respectful than usual tonight. It is the 1-year anniversary that Vanderlei Silva's father actually died in a car accident, which, I've never lost a parent. I couldn't imagine it. But, sort of speaking to that, Vanderlei Silva, this is not me trying to bash him. He did not look like a mentally, emotionally stable person. I mean, he's in a dimly lit room, these, gruesome shadows cast across his face. He's swinging his arms, he's yelling. Half of the video, he's screaming and berating the camera as if he's talking to Chael Sonnen. The other half, he's smiling at the camera like he's talking to the fans, saying he fights for the fans. It was really bizarre, more than obvious than honestly anything else. And if I was Sonnen, that wouldn't be a video that intimidated me. That'd be a video that intrigued me and maybe amused me a little bit. We're going to stick to the format we did last week and not having a speaking order and just jumping in when you got an opinion on it. But what did you guys think about this this crazy video put out by Vanderlei Silva with like David Lee Roth playing in the fucking background? I don't know what that was.
Yeah, man, it was totally fucked up, man. It was like if you were breaking into the zoo late at night and then like film the gorilla cage, and then you're filming, you got that flash on the camera just pointed straight at Vanderlei's face, and then but it's like, a gorilla, and then you blow marijuana smoke in his face and just record what happens. That was what we witnessed. It was almost bipolar in nature. It was disgusting what we saw from that man, and he had nothing. He was just claiming over, I'm going to beat his face. He was going to 30 minutes, even though it would be 25. This guy was all over the place. It was embarrassing. This was probably the worst YouTube promo I've ever seen from an MMA fighter. If anybody can name anything that was more embarrassing, speak now, but that's what I got to say about
Forrest
it, man.
Griffin, Anderson Silva is the only thing that pops into my mind.
A promo? I don't remember that one.
Not promo-wise, just as far as embarrassing things.
No, I'm talking promo, where like one fighter got in the camera, put it on YouTube, calling someone else out. This is the most embarrassing one that I've ever seen. I don't think you can name one that was worse. Unless I'm missing something.
No, I can't think of a more bizarre, embarrassing promo than that.
There was the bar when Barao was fighting Uriah. At least they were clever enough to come up with that Hawaiian song, that Beach Boys one. Whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, Rivera made some kind of embarrassing videos, but they at least were like made in the spirit of being funny. They weren't made in the spirit of swinging your arms around looking like a stone chump.
With a flashlight in his stupid face, man. What was with the flashlight?
Yeah, that was like the Blair Witch Project meets a shitty Metallica video meets a UFC promo. It was bizarre. And most of the time, like him talking about Sonnen, like the thing he really focused on was, I'm going to break your nose, even though it was speaking in Portuguese. But it's just like, you're gonna break his nose? Like, you really think breaking a guy's nose? Like I'm pretty sure a couple years ago, Yushin Okami broke Chael Sonnen's nose, and that's like his best friend at middleweight. So I don't really understand what the threat is there.
Yeah, man, Chael breaks his nose every fucking other week. That's a fact. It's a UFC fact.
Chael broke his nose at Kick-Ass 2 the other day. Ross, you have anything else to add in on this crazy shit?
Yeah, I think Vanderlei is really emotional right now. He wants to fight someone who's a striker. He wants to face someone who he can entice and get to fight his game so that he can try and knock them out, because that's really the only chance he has. He would get his ass whooped by a wrestler. We all know it. Chael would destroy him, but he wants to fight Chael because Chael's in his head. And Chael just beat one of his best friends. He's pissed off. He wants to shut Chael up. He's not going to, but he's playing like a two-faced role. He'll come out and make these promo videos like he's in the WWE, like he's facing John Cena, and then he doesn't want the fight. He declines it every single time because this time it's a money issue. The next time it's an injury. The next time he's got an autograph signing in Canada. It's all a bunch of bullshit. The video was stupid. The whole thing with calling him a butt face. What? That's supposed to be an insult? We're 4 now. Calling someone a butt face is supposed to be intimidating. It was a stupid video. I don't even know why we're even talking about it.
Can I say something, people?
Yeah.
The original confrontation between Vanderlei Silva and Chael Sonnen occurred in my city, my hometown city of Austin, Texas, years ago. And I'm telling you people right now, back then Vanderlei Silva was walking on a fucking cane. He was at bum status back then. That's the only reason that Chael didn't just remove his spine from out of his mouth. Do you understand me, people in that van? That's what happened. Trust me. I bought that van. I revealed this story in an earlier episode of my own podcast. I bought the van where the confrontation took place. Unfortunately, I committed a crime using the van and had to torch it. Otherwise, I would supply the evidence. My point is, Vanderlei Silva was a bum back then during the van incident. He is now. That's why he's ducking this fight. It'll probably never happen. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, it hasn't really weighed in though on the fucking Chael versus Vanderlei shit. What do you think, man?
I actually have to agree with Ross. Vanderlei. He wants to fight somebody that'll fight his fight, but at the same time, Chael is the guy he really wants to fight. You know, he's in his head. So, I mean, as far as the video, I guess it helped boost the fight and promote it a little bit, but it was very weird and bizarre, like you guys said. So I don't know why he made it, but I mean, what can we really do?
What can you do? Let's swiftly move on. Briefly, also, I want to talk about this. This isn't anything really that's worth passing around to everyone else on the show. But I'm looking through the Facebook album of the UFC, this coming Fight Night thing, and they had Carlos Condit, Bubba McDaniel, and his striking coach Mike Valley at the Colts preseason game. Pictures of Carlos Condit and Mike Valley wearing sponsored T-shirts and hats. Bubba McDaniel is on the sideline of an NFL game wearing a fucking wife beater. How classy is Bubba McDaniel? Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm not down. What?
I have input on that.
What's
Very
that?
simple. Bum status.
Bum status. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
know,
usually.
man.
I'm not usually for fighter bashing, but fuck, I don't like this guy much.
In all fairness, like, his name is Bubba. Of course he's gonna be redneck as fuck. So I'm giving him a pass. It's
That's
his
his
nature.
gimmick.
It ain't his fault. He was born into it.
But he's Team Jones. There's a problem there.
Oh, man.
I didn't say he wasn't a bum. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
I've passed on the redneck shit.
I've worked on an NFL sideline before, back when I worked with the Buccaneers. Just, if I were to ever pass somebody wearing a wife beater, I would probably triple take, because that's like going to, I don't know, that's just so fucking redneck. Let's fucking move on. Chris Weidman. This was a news story I didn't really think much about until my buddy Jay texted me asking what I thought about it. And the news story was Chris Weidman saying that Anderson Silva is going to be easier to beat this time around. And Jay's like, what do you think about this? I was like, honestly, I don't think much of it at all. I just think it's somebody talking about his next fight. And Jay made an interesting point, said that in the first fight, the reason Weidman won was because he did not put a % of underestimation in Anderson. He went out there like it was David versus Goliath, and he had to put it all out there and had to get the belt, and said that Weidman saying this makes him think that his mindset was is not going to be the same this time around. Obviously, his mindset was crucial into him beating Anderson the first time. So what do you think about this comment? Do you think Weidman is sort of taking Anderson for granted this second time around because he's beaten him already? I mean, saying that the greatest fighter of all time is going to be easier to beat this time around, you really kind of dive into it, and that's a pretty potent quote to be making. Ross, Weidman's your boy. I know you feel strongly about this. What do you think?
I think Chris Weidman is 100% correct. It may sound cocky, but it is the truth. And Anderson Silva's brain was rattled on July 6th, like brutally, brutally rattled. He was knocked out. His head bounced off the canvas. He punched him again. His head slammed into the canvas, plus the force behind that punch, and he was diving in. Plus he ate a couple of other shots. He's 38 years old, so his chin has deteriorated. There's no question there. His chin has deteriorated. It's fact. At the same time, if Anderson comes out angry, he's going to have his hands up and he's going to try and attack. He's going to get taken down. Legs will be completely open to get taken down. So I do think this is going to be an easier fight. I think Anderson is going to try and fight a little more emotional, and that's just going to make it all the more worse for him.
Suck his dick, come on.
Ramses, Yao, what do you think about Weidman Silva? Is Weidman right? Will Silva be easier to beat next time around? What do you think about these claims he's making?
For Chris Weidman to say that is insane. He cannot predict the future. He doesn't know how Anderson Silva is going to come out and fight. So for him to just say blatantly like that, Anderson Silva is going to be easier to beat the second time around, is him, he's young. He's a child still in the sport, even though he's, quote, middleweight champion. He's going to lose on December 28th. That's simple.
I got to say, man, I listened to an interview that fucking Anderson Silva did on the Opie and Anthony show this week. And I tweeted about it. He sounded punchy as fuck, man. I think you guys are right. I think Ross is right. I think Chris Weidman might have beat this man senseless, literally. He sounded like Muhammad Ali, alright? He couldn't even remember Royce Gracie's name or Chael Sonnen's name during this interview. He stumbled on easy shit. Alright, English isn't his first language. Sure, but you don't remember how to say Sonnen by this time? Or Royce Gracie? Give me a fucking break. He's punchy. I think he's done. I think we're going to see a zombie fight Chris Weidman. It's going to be embarrassing. This man is going to fold. Anderson Silva is going to take an even bigger dive this time around. Ain't going to put up a fight whatsoever. That's the word on the street. Bet everything you have on it. Bet your life on it.
I guess that's a victory in some way.
Weed
Hearing
kills
you say
you.
that's a victory
Weed
somehow. It's like
makes
half a
you
victory.
worthless.
God bless Chris Weidman.
What are you saying, Ross? You and my drop started at the same time.
I said, I guess that's a victory. He went halfway towards the other side, so I'll take it.
And if you didn't hear Eddie, weed kills you, weed makes you worthless, kids. Yao, are you ready for your training log / fight tip of the week?
Yep.
He did say something. There he goes. He's fucking ready. This is gonna be a fucking easy one. Your training log, usually you're busting your ass in the gym and shit, but actually it's going to be more of a fight tip this week because you took a trip to Washington and you learned how to beat the shit out of someone on roller skates. Tell us the story, cocksucker.
Alright, so look, I was roller skating, around the rink. It's about 2:30 a.m. So I'm rolling around. If someone's being a dick and they're going fast, moving around you, you don't know what to do, you're slipping around, they're doing tricks in between, holding hands, here's what you gotta do. When you know they're coming around for the second time, you gotta fake a fall. fake a fall right in front of them. And what you do is you curl your hands up, hold them to your chest, bend your knees to your chest, and just hold that position, and they'll fall right over you, and then they're done. They'll probably twist their ankle, fall on their face, chip a tooth. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's what you got to do. You got to take a dive, and then you'll be fine after that. That's my fight tip.
Damn, take a dive and fuck up the person behind you, make them chip their tooth, fuck up their leg,
Right.
something. I love it.
Everything is taking a dive. What the fuck?
Make them die.
Yo, I think Ramses asked you a few months ago if you would ever take a dive, and you said no. Have your thoughts changed?
No, but Ramses did tell me, if they do come up to me and say, we need you to take a dive, you say yes, sir.
That's right, man. That's right.
Oh, Ramses.
If it furthers your career, you do it, man.
Like, I'll give you an example. Look at Mayday, Michael McDonald.
That's right, man.
He took that dive against Barao. The kid's 21, 22. He's going to be in the UFC for a long time. So
Yep, he can win that shit anytime he wants.
Exactly.
Weed kills you. Weed makes you worthless.
That's right. I don't know about all this fucking dive talk, but let's move on to our last news topic. Conor McGregor tearing his ACL. He's going to be out 8 to 10 months, unfortunately. We know in his fight against Max Holloway, in the second round, he said he was in side control, trying to get some knees in, and fucked up, messed his knee up. He's going to be out 8 to 10 months. Who do you want to see him fight next? Do you think this is going to hurt his, hype train, so to speak? Are people still going to be as pumped about him in almost a year? I mean, what are the implications about all this shit with Conor McGregor's bum knee?
It's it sucks.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, for fuck's sake, my knee. Yeah, it sucks that he's out now. He was riding high after 2 straight very impressive wins, in my opinion. In most people's eyes, too. People who watched the fight thoroughly, especially the people who were there. But it sucks for Conor, especially at this young age, and he's so close to moving into the top 10, if not already in the top 10, maybe at number 10 or top 15, I'd say. He's at least top 15. And to slow down like this, be out for 10 months, it's bad. Especially since he had the fight with Brandao all but signed for UFC 168, and that was going to be a great, great fight. Both guys are very entertaining, and that would have been a hell of a scrap. So, I can't wait to see him back.
Oh, come on, man. Look, this knee thing, he barely got away with his life on Max Holloway. The only reason he's still alive is because Max Holloway broke his foot during the middle of the fight. Conor McGregor, his knee blew apart. I don't know what happened. I gotta reduce him to bum status, people. I'm sorry. I don't believe the hype. I saw nothing impressive except throwing snap 100% strikes that just ended up, breaking everything he had. I bet his fucking hands are broken too. They ain't even telling you about that. You don't get away with that for too long. I don't believe the hype. I'm sorry, Conor McGregor. I know you're probably a nice guy and whatever, but I'm not buying it. I'm not believing it. That's what I gotta say. I know, that's the word on the street.
Powerful. Yeah, do you have any thoughts on the Conor McGregor injury before we move on to UFC Fight Night 27?
Yeah, it does kind of suck. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the guy, but, I mean, to tear your ACL 2 fights into the UFC, it's got to be really, really tough. I mean, I can't imagine, what that feels like to him. I mean, because he's on a roll. I mean, 2-0 in the UFC, and then you tear your ACL. That's got to be, really hard. So I'm just, I wish him, a speedy recovery, and then he'll just be back, and hopefully he continues what he's doing.
when he gets back, I really hope he gets a good caliber guy. Maybe, dude, if Guida loses to Mendez and maybe gets injured, put on the rack 6 or 8 months, I'd love to see Guida versus Conor. I'd like to see Conor fight Nick Lentz. I would like to see him get a fight against a top striker, not one of these guys like Chad Mendez who could probably just take him down and at least try and make the fight, a fight that doesn't take place on the feet. Like I mentioned, that brings us to UFC Fight Night 27. Before we get into the individual fights, though, we got our boy Ross Finkelstein bringing us, I think he has 6 or 7 tip lines. He's bringing the Jew to you. I'm not going to say anything else. It's Ross's fucking betting segment. I don't even know if it has an official name yet or not. It's all you.
We don't need a name. There's no need for a name because I am bringing the Jew to you. I've got like 7 or 8 bets. I got a lot of bets for you tonight, but I fucking hate you all. Like I've said in previous weeks, I turned heel on you motherfuckers. So let's get to this. First off, I got a couple of props because I like the props on this card. We've got Kelvin Gastelum winning inside the distance, plus 250. That is a steal. Kelvin's going to finish this fight. He's looking insanely good at 170. He's lean, he's mean, he's a fighting machine. That was very corny. Going to move on. Tavares McDaniel, Bubba versus Brad Tavares. Plus 150, fight goes to a decision. I don't see this fight getting finished. I see this going to a decision. I see it being incredibly boring. And the loser probably getting cut. Okay. Cerrone wins by knockout TKO. Plus 300 because
I like that one.
Donald Cerrone is going to kill, and I mean kill, Rafael dos Anjos. It's not in Brazil. He doesn't have the crowd behind him. He's not deserving of a top 10 spot. I don't know why people think he is. He lost his last fight. He's got a couple of robberies under his belt. So he's going to lose this fight. Cerrone's going to get his knockout win. I'd say head kick knockout. He goes out cold. Then we've got Carlos Condit winning inside the distance. It's kind of bold, but I think Condit gets it done. He's a finisher. He's going to finish it in the 2nd or 3rd round before Kampmann can really get his groove because he's a very, very late starter. That's plus 120. That's a very good bet if you're feeling like making money. Then I got my prop. Not my prop. I gave you my props. I got my parlay. Carlos Condit, minus 250. Donald Cerrone, minus 160. And Kelvin Gastelum, minus 230. Total, plus 217. That's just easy money in your pocket. If you don't bet on that, you're stupid.
Yeah. You're basically getting Donald for plus 217 there, because in my mind it isn't a question that Condit and Gastelum are going to win.
Yeah. And then I got my single plays, minus 160. Donald, the Cowboy, Cerrone, like I said before, there's no reason you shouldn't bet on him. And Kelvin Gastelum, minus 230. He is going to destroy Brian. Can't pronounce his last name. Just close this up. I'm done here.
And that pronunciation is Mullisaw, because I believe Brian Mullisaw is from like Eastern Texas, out near Louisiana, where people don't like to pronounce things the right way. They like to pronounce things with a French sort of thing to it. So what reads in English, Melancon, with that little French Cajun bullshit, is Mullisaw. So, fuck that, basically. Alright, let's get to it. UFC Fight Night 27. We've done enough fucking stalling, and I'm stalling right now because I don't have the fucking card in front of me, but let's start with the prelims. We aren't going to break the prelims down fight by fight, but I do sort of want to put all the prelims in front of you and say what we got to say about it before we get to the main card. Really, I just pulled up the first Condit Kampmann card. Son of a bitch. Alright, The prelim card, which is going to start on Saturday, I believe at 5 o'clock on Facebook before it gets to the 6 o'clock Fox Sports 2 prelims. And there we go. Enough stalling. The Facebook card is going to have Zach Cummings versus Ben Alloway and Roger Bowling against Abel Trujillo or Abel Trujillo. I'm not sure what his first name is pronounced. But Cummings, Alloway, and Bowling Trujillo on the Facebook card, which honestly is not that bad of a Facebook card. Bowling and Trujillo, if you've never seen these guys fight, go ahead and tune in. They're not the best in the world, but they're definitely entertaining. And obviously in the welterweights, we want to see our boy Zach Cummings, sort of like Kelvin Gastelum did. He also moved down to welterweight to fight, and that'll be interesting. On the Fox Sports 2 card, we got a lot of welterweights, 6 welterweight fights on the whole card. I think that's a record. James Head and Jason High. We also got Justin Edwards and Brandon Thatch fighting in the welterweights. And in the featherweights, Darren Elkins, Hatsu Hioki, probably the most intriguing prelim fight. And in the middleweights, Dylan Andrews versus Papi Abadi from Sweden. He came in the UFC with a lot of hype, hasn't really lived up to it. We'll see if he's able to get by the tough alum Dylan Andrews. What do you guys think about these 6 fights? Anything stand out to you? Elkins Hioki stands out to me. The winner is a top 10 featherweight. Elkins has been on his way up. He recently beat who did he beat? Or no, he just lost to Chad Mendez, but before that he had a 5-fight win streak going. Hatsu Hioki obviously came into the UFC with a lot of hype from Japan, fighting in Shuto and Sengoku. He's started off good, beat Roop in a split decision, Palashevsky in a unanimous decision. Since then he's lost to Ricardo Lamas and Clay Guida. So that fight's what stands out to me on the prelims. What about you guys? Ross? You were telling me earlier, about 2 seconds earlier in the Skype chat, that there's one guy specifically who sticks out big time for you.
Yeah, there's one guy on this preliminary card that sticks out big time for me, and that is Brandon Thatch. He's coming into the UFC. It's his UFC debut against Justin Edwards, who's a tough guy. He just beat Josh Neer. But Brandon Thatch is a murderer. This guy, he started MMA in like 2008. He won his first fight, and then he lost his second one by split decision. Since that loss, he has finished every single fight in the first round. He's won like 7 or 8 in a row. He's knocked a bunch of guys out, and if he doesn't knock you out, he drops you and then submits you. He is scary. He's got crazy good striking. You've got champions who are literally striking with him because he's so good. Look out for this guy. This is a guy who's going to fight for the UFC welterweight title.
Powerful. Yeah, Brandon Thatch. I've heard about him actually with all of this moving shit. I've still not gotten a chance to watch any of his fights. This is his UFC debut. He's 9-1. He does have a win. The only name I recognize on his record is Chidi Njokuani, who he beat at Ring of Fire in 2011. And Chidi's got a lot of hype behind him. So Edwards is definitely going to be a challenge. Edwards has obviously fought, a tougher caliber record. He has fights against guys like John McGuire, Josh Neer, and Clay Harvison. But, he's only 1-2 in those fights. So I agree with you, Ross, in that he gets this win, and the guy's got a lot of finishes on his record. I think, all 9 of his wins are finishes. So let's see the guy go forth and either knock him out or get a rear naked choke, because that's what it seems like he likes to do. Ramses, what stands out for you, or fucking Yao? Either of you cocksuckers, what stands out? We're not doing an order on this shit. Are you okay?
Doesn't have anything to say first.
What the fuck just happened?
Don't worry about it, alright? Please go ahead while I tend to something.
Craziness on the MMA podcast.
There's one guy on the prelim card that stands out, and that's Abel Trujillo, Black Zillion, making his 3rd UFC appearance. He's 1-1 in the UFC, but he's going to beat whoever he's fighting and then move on in 155 ranks.
That's right, Abel Trujillo, who is black, not a Brazilian. You've got to be one or the other, unless you're Ryan Jimmo to be in the Black Zillions. He is black, for the record.
Wasn't he the guy who got suplexed 30 times by Khabib Nurmagomedov?
It is.
Yes,
the Eagle came into the UFC, and you know how you watch training videos where you get a 100-pound dummy and people just drill, scooping it up and slamming it down and scooping it up and slamming it down and scooping it up and slamming it down. That was basically that fight at UFC 160.
All right. Listen, people. Can we get the crap now? I want to get back to the original question. I'll let you all have your goddamn speeches, your Trujillos, your Baba, whatever the hell. The other
Nurmagomedov.
Whatever the hell it was. Someone was naming, you, Jake, were naming somebody obscure that I've never fucking heard of.
Darren Elkins and Hioki, they're pretty well.
What was the name? Brian Hatch or something? I was like,
Brandon Thatch. That was Ross.
That was who. Yeah, that's the guy who gives a fuck. Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you people is there's only one fighter that matters on the prelim card, as it were, and that is the unrevealed Team Darkside fighter, Mr. Zach Cummings himself. Zach Cummings, people. He was on Team Sonnen, on Team Darkside during Season 17 of The Ultimate Fighter. If you remember, he was the guy that got into the house by knocking his opponent out in 7 seconds, setting a tough knockout record, which is still held to this day as far as I know. We'll see in Tough 18. 7 seconds. Zach Cummings has the power. He got taken out a little bit later on in the season, all right, but that was a bad day, all right. We already explained that. We had him on the show, on the Word in the Street podcast, if you want to know where that loss came from. Anyway, this is his first shot in the UFC. Dana guaranteed everybody on that season of The Ultimate Fighter a shot in the UFC, but Zach Cummings had an injury, couldn't fight in the Tough 17 finale with everyone else. So this is finally where he gets his shot. Don't forget, people, he has still not debuted in the UFC. He's ready for it. He saw all his brothers get through. Him and Kelvin are fighting together on the same fucking card. It's going to go down. Sorry for taking up all the time. Zach Cummings, that's the fucking fight to watch. I don't even know who the fuck he's fighting. It's a dead man. Word on the street.
That's right. He is a motherfucking dead man. I'm in the same boat. Zach Cummings is going to be opening some eyes up on the prelim card. Let's get to the main card, and let's knock these first few fights out pretty quickly, because I'm pretty sure there's not too much to talk about. Brad Tavares facing Bubba McDaniel. Bubba coming off of Team Jones, off of this most recent season of Tough. He did fight Gilbert Smith at the Tough 17 finale, and unfortunately won via triangle armbar in the third round. His opponent, Brad Tavares, coming off a few wins himself against Dong Yang, Tom Watson, and Ricky Fukuda. And the way I see things going, he beats this redneck Bubba via unanimous decision. What do you guys think about the fight? Because Bubba is a Jackson's fighter, and that's really, in my eyes, the only thing going for him in this match.
Yeah, this fight is a bum fight to me, except I am rooting for Brad Tavares. I'm actually a fan of his, and I have to go against Bubba because he's a Team Jones, and on top of that, a Greg Jackson fighter.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Yao. I gotta go with Brad Tavares, and I gotta go with Brad Tavares by unanimous decision. I think he's a better fighter overall, but I don't think he finishes Bubba. Brad Tavares is actually a pretty damn good fighter. He's only lost to Aaron Simpson, so he's improved since then. He's never gonna fight for a world title, but he's pretty good. He's like a top 20 middleweight.
Oh, Christ, I'm in the middle of a fucking sneezing fit. I apologize. But what I want to say, Bubba McDaniel, he got his ass whooped by Kelvin Gastelum. Word on the street.
word on the fucking street. The next fight is a bantamweight fight between Eric Perez, who's undefeated in the UFC, 3-0, facing Takeya Mizugaki, who's 4-2 in the UFC. This is definitely going to be Eric Perez's biggest test. Since joining the UFC, Mizugaki hasn't looked bad. Yeah, he did lose to Faber once he got brought in, but the guy's got a lot of fights under his belt. But I do think that Perez is the superior fighter here. I think he's able to shore up his wrestling, because that in this fight seems like it's going to be the only place Mizugaki is able to beat him, and I don't think he beats him there. So I got Perez in another fight that goes to the judges. What do you guys think?
I don't even know who these motherfuckers are. I have nothing to say about this fight, but I wish them both the best of luck. God bless them.
I think Eric Perez is going to win this fight. I think Eric Perez is a fantastic fighter. He's on a great streak. He's a finisher. Takeya Mizugaki is also a fantastic fighter, and if you look at the people he loses to the best of the best. So if Eric Perez can get past Takeya Mizugaki, we know he is the real deal, and he is one of the best of the best.
Yeah, what do you think about Perez versus Mizugaki? I have a feeling it's going to be very long and thought out.
Well, I think that Eric Perez is going to win this fight, but I do want him to lose. The hype around this kid is like ridiculous. It's almost as bad as the Conor McGregor hype. Like, I remember when he fought back in December, there's so much hype around him. All right, he's 3-0 in the UFC. Who has he fought? I don't even know. So he might win, but if he does not, I'll be satisfied.
In the next fight, we've got another guy sort of like Brandon Thatch and Robert Whitaker, who's coming on the card. Not a lot of people know about him, but in his last fight, he looked very impressive, TKOing tough winner Colton Smith in the third round at UFC 160. He's 2-0 in the UFC, while Court McGee himself is coming off a win against Josh Neer. Before that, he suffered losses to Nick Ring and Costa Philippou. Honestly, a lot of people are picking Whitaker in this, and I sort of want to go with him, but Court McGee is just such a big step up in an opponent that he's ever faced. I mean, Whitaker spent most of his career fighting in I believe Australia, and really only has one good opponent under his belt in Colton Smith, and McGee is a bigger step up from Colton Smith than Smith was from his previous opponent. So even though I want to pick Whitaker and get on the hype train, I got Court just because Whitaker's never faced a guy like that before.
Let me just start this off. I got to pick Court McGee. He is an MMA Draft athlete. If you don't know what MMA Draft is, check it out. MMADraft.com, built by Uriah Faber and Phil Davis, who just defeated Lyoto Machida in Brazil. Check it out, MMADraft.com, building a website for up-and-coming amateur fighters to get their name out there. Check it out.
How much were you paid to say that?
Yeah. Listen.
No, I don't get an answer? Oh, okay.
Court McGee versus who? What the fuck? I'm honestly asking you, man. Nobody cares about this fight.
It's not a conspiracy theory.
It's a Monday night, man. People have had enough, and now they have to listen to Court McGee versus whoever the fuck. I gotta say, Jake, man, there's more interesting topics at hand.
I mean, I'm it's pretty standard breaking down the UFC cards. Don't blame me. Blame Silva and White and Fertitta, whoever's putting these shits on. Cock.
I know, the thing is, I just remembered something, man. But it has to do with Mayhem. Is he on the agenda for tonight?
Mayhem Miller, he wasn't, but after this fight, we're gonna take a quick break to to talk about him because I forgot that topic, and I think it's pretty apt.
Cool. Well, yeah, Court McGee versus whoever, I don't even remember. I got nothing to say. I'll pass it to the Jew.
You'll pass it to the Jew. Well, the Jew has this to say. I like this fight a lot. It's a very close fight. It's difficult to pick a winner, and that's what makes it so great. I am going to lean towards Robert Whittaker because he looked so good in his last performance. His boxing has completely won me over. And in Court's last fight, I honestly, I didn't like it. I didn't like his performance against Josh Neer. He landed a lot of significant strikes, but I didn't like that he couldn't finish the fight because I do think Josh Neer is easy to finish. He is kind of a bum. So it's a close fight. I'm picking Whittaker, though.
All right, Robert Whittaker for the Jew. And there are 3 other fights that we will get to. Kelvin Gastelum, Brian Mullisaw, Donald Cerrone versus RDA, and of course Condit versus Kampmann. But Ramsey's brought it up, and I think it's very apt. And actually, the only details I'm sure of are that Mayhem Miller was arrested for domestic battery again or something. Ramses, I believe you know more about it than me. What exactly happened to Mayhem Miller?
Yeah, he was arrested again for domestic violence several days ago. He had his court hearing today. He's been in jail for about 4 days, maybe 5. He's actually gonna be in jail for at least another 3 for his next until his trial. His trial begins on the 20. I don't know. He's gonna be there for a fucking while. Anyway, yeah, he was arrested. According to a source that was in the courtroom, this comes from Sci-Fighting, Adam Brennan. He was at the court hearing today, so he heard the details. Basically, Mayhem was arrested for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend, urinating on her, slapping her, threatening her via Twitter, punching and kicking her viciously. Mayhem's father was apparently witnessing the attack. So Mayhem claims it was just fighting back. That his girlfriend also trains MMA. So that's where the bruises probably came from, and she's making this shit up, basically. But, yeah, Mayhem, he claimed he was not threatening her via Twitter. He said he is an artist. He's defending his freedom of expression, of course. His bail is set at $100,000. His court date will be on the 30th. Okay, 3 days from now on the 30th. So Mayhem allegedly assaulting his girlfriend and pissing on her R. Kelly style in front of his father.
Yo, you ever piss on a bitch?
Never.
Ross, what about you?
I've done some things, man.
Yep.
I'm going to leave it at that.
He's giving some girls that Jew gold, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, that got nasty fast.
Come on.
I tried to keep it, like, mysterious, and you just
Yeah.
move this shit along.
That's right, man.
Let's move this shit along. Enough about Mayhem Miller pissing on bitches. Let's get back to UFC
Oh, wait,
Fight Night.
hold on. This is why I brought it up, though. And I don't even want to look back, because, like, I don't want to be an accomplice to this shit. But the only reason it came to mind to bring it up during the show was because I remember one time, I used to tweet Mayhem before, like, he went crazy. Like, I used to tweet him just whenever I had, like, random bullshit, like a love advice question. I would just make up some bullshit question. And then, well, one time I tweeted him asking, hey, Mayhem, my online girlfriend found out about the other one. What should I do? And I don't want to look back, but you can probably find it. His advice was, kill her and bury the body.
Damn.
What?
Right. And apparently he was sending this girl of his, allegedly threatening tweets, saying, maybe I'll kill you. You gotta, look, this is third hand here. I hate to bring this on the MMA podcast. It's all alleged. Look up the story for yourself. Sci-Fighting. Adam Brennan. Full credit to him. Full blame on him, too. That's the word on the street.
Damn.
You may have to cooperate with an investigation now.
Yeah, some cops
I don't know
may or
nothing
may not
about
be
no
knocking
dead
on the
bitches,
door.
man. Nah, man. It's about dead bitches. I don't know nothing. That's the word on the street.
Word on the street. Speaking of the word on the street, Team Darkside, the pride of Team Darkside, Kelvin Gastelum, winner of the Ultimate Fighter. He will be making his first debut sort of outside at a tough arena. He fought and beat Uriah Hall at the Tough 17 finale back in April, winning Tough 17, and now he's moved down to welterweight and facing a pretty decent welterweight in Brian Melisaw, who's coming off a very impressive victory against Seth Baczynski. Showed off some sweet stand-up, won the fight via KO with 1 second left in the first round. Showed off a very impressive left hook too. That left hand of Melisaw is probably going to be the main thing that Kelvin's looking out for. The one thing I love about watching Kelvin fight is that he's always active, working, doing something, whether he's tying a guy up, whether he's trying to exchange, whether he's pinning the guy to the mat. The guy's active, the guy's busy, he's always doing something. And in that, he needs to make sure that if he tries to get in these crazy exchanges with Brian Melisaw, that he avoids that left hook, that left hand, because I think he KO'd Baczynski on a counterpunch as the first round ended, and I think that was literally just about a month and a half ago at UFC 162. So that's the main thing Kelvin's going to need to worry about. If he can put Melisaw on his ass and keep him there, because he did have struggles against Uriah Hall once he took him down, holding position. I think moving down, fighting a guy who weighs less is definitely going to help. And he's obviously been training over in Oregon and California, working on his wrestling. So that'll be interesting to see whether he can not only get the guy down like he did against Hall, but keep him there. And yeah, if Gastelum can, put forth his game plan early, and I don't doubt he will because he's such an active fighter, I have Gastelum winning this one via unanimous decision.
My God. Alright, I will go first. Kelvin Gastelum has moved down to 170 pounds just for the fuck of it. This guy doesn't give a fuck. You understand? He's been on my podcast. He is the most frequent fighter guest that we've had on the podcast. Yep. 3 times now. Defending champion on the Word on the Street podcast guest list. He is a friend of mine. Do you understand me, people? I'm gonna, if I ever get conned into marrying some bitch, I'm gonna ask him to be in my wedding. Kelvin Gastelum is my friend. But I say this unbiased. He is going to run through this man. He's going to destroy in 2 days. Do you understand me? There's going to be no doubt who he is, why he moved down. He's going to be even more. You see him? Does he look worried, drained out at all? Hell no. He just looks like a thinner Kelvin Gastelum who doesn't give a fuck. He'll stare straight through you and your soul and your dreams. It don't matter, man. God bless him. He's going to win this hands down. Put your money on it. This is a solid bet. The Jew was right. Put this guy in your fucking parlay. It's going down. I can't say enough. This guy, man. KG, if you're out there, man, much love. Stay black. That's the most important thing on the streets.
Stay black, you dirty motherfuckers.
Stay black.
Stay brown.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Kelvin Gastelum is going to win this fight. He's going to do it in devastating fashion. It's going to be beautiful. He is the real deal. He's finishing everyone. He's got like 1 decision on his record to Uriah Hall. This is his fight to lose. He's basically fighting himself. So he can lose this fight if he doesn't fight. If he fights to win, he will win. And that's all I'm going to say. Kelvin Gastelum, knockout.
Powerful. Yeah. What do you think about the Team Darkside alum?
I'm just going to start off by saying, back in April, I scored the tough finale fight for Uriah Hall. With that said, I do think Kelvin Gastelum will win this fight, but like you guys said, he's fighting himself. You know, this fight is his to lose, so he should go out there and perform the way that he normally does, and he'll leave victorious.
He will walk out of that cage victorious, and I do agree. All of us agree that Gastelum will win this fight. Moving to the lightweights, we got Donald Cerrone and Rafael dos Anjos in a top 10 matchup. Both of these guys are well known. Donald Cerrone, 3-1 in his last 4 fights, beating Jeremy Stevens, Melvin Gillard, and KJ Noons, losing to Anthony Pettis via TKO. Rafael dos Anjos coming off a 4-fight win streak, even though his last win, even though the judges ruled it unanimous, was a very controversial win against Evan Dunham. I personally thought Dunham won that fight. That was back in May at UFC on FX, Belfort versus Rockhold. As far as looking at Cerrone versus Rafael, this is not a good stylistic matchup for RDA. Really, in the recent past, since the WEC days, the only people Donald Cerrone has lost to have been strikers, and Nate Diaz and Anthony Pettis. RDA is not a striker, and he would not be wise to try and mix it up with Cerrone on the feet. I think Cerrone's problem, because back in the WEC when he lost to Varner and Henderson, he was out grappled by him, and I think Cerrone has been focusing so much on his grappling that his kickboxing, which is really one of his major talents, I don't know if he's been focusing on that as much, especially his defensive kickboxing. We saw him fight Nate Diaz at UFC 141 and get lit up more times than I think anyone's ever been punched in a UFC fight with significant strikes. And the loss to Anthony Pettis was just him having his guard down, getting kicked in the body, and then getting swarmed on when he dropped to the mat. Dos Anjos isn't going to be able to outstrike Cerrone. I actually think Cerrone is going to finish the fight via TKO. He has the tools to keep it standing, which is going to make RDA an uncomfortable guy, and he's going to finish in the second round.
Yeah, I think Cerrone knocks him out cold. Cerrone is the superior fighter. The only place where Cerrone is probably not better is overall jiu-jitsu, but I think his MMA grappling's better. I think his striking's better. I think his chin is better. His heart is better. He's faster. He's taller. He's lankier. This is his fight to lose, just like Kelvin, and Cerrone gets it done.
I gotta say, as much as I'm leaning towards Cerrone, I think that if Dos Anjos could get a hold of Cerrone early in each round, he can win this fight. His wrestling has been improving with each fight that he's in, and I say Dos Anjos is 3 takedowns away from winning this fight.
Jesus Christ, people. I'll go. Sorry. Cerrone, man. I don't believe in Cerrone. I think he's approaching bum status. Anthony Pettis blended this. He blended his shit apart, man. He destroyed this man. Cerrone will never come back from that fucking loss. He'll never be in that caliber anymore. He's just gonna fight people like whoever this bum he's up against. I don't even care. It don't matter. It's inconsequential. I don't even care if he wins. I'm just saying he'll never be a champion. I'm done with Cerrone. That's it.
Before we move on to the main event, where do you think this puts the winner? You think the winner of this is a fight or two away from a title shot, or do either guy need to show more than a win against his opponent?
What?
How?
I say that.
Do I need to fucking speak Cantonese? How close to a title shot is the winner of this fight?
I say that they need to fight at least one more high-level opponent, because you have to remember you have what is this guy's name? Gilbert Melendez up there. So I think the winner of that fight will need to fight like one more higher level opponent.
What do you think, Ross?
Yeah, I think for Cerrone, for both of them, I think they're 2 fights away from a title shot, 3 fights. For Cerrone, I'd say 3 fights, 2 fights. For Rafael, I'd say the same thing. He's on a 4-fight winning streak, but he hasn't faced top level competition. And you still have Gilbert Melendez, you have TJ Grant, who is technically the number 1 contender. He was promised the shot. He beat Gray Maynard, who was number 3 in the world. So you got TJ Grant, you got Gilbert Melendez ahead of them. You got Josh Thompson also. So after those 3, who knows?
Fucking
That's right.
Cerrone, man. My best advice to Donald Cerrone, get out of Greg Jackson mode. It's time to get out of that mode, son, and then I'll give you another chance. You might have a shot at that title. If not, you will never get there. Trust me, that's it.
Damn. Well, we do have a Jackson's fighter in the main event. And speaking of the main event, before we get to it, let's do a stat of the day. Pretty simple stat of the day this week for you. Carlos Condit is a finisher. Of his 28 wins, he's finished 26 of them. That's a 93% finishing rate, one of the best in the UFC. And not only does he have one of the top finishing rates in the UFC, but it's spread out too. It's not like he's got all KOs or all submissions. The man's got 13 KOs, 13 submissions, only 2 decisions, including his most recent win, which was all the way back in February 2012. Hard to believe that Carlos hasn't lost in about a year and a half, but he has had 2 fights to the best 2 welterweights in the world, George St. Pierre and Johnny Hendricks. So, we talked about it on the 5-round show we did on Sunday night, if you want to listen to it. I really think Carlos is one of the top 5 guys in the UFC without a UFC championship. I think that list also includes Johnny Hendricks. It's crazy he's not even second best in his own division because he's so fucking good. Kampmann, I don't want to take anything away from him. Kampmann is really good too, but I don't think he has what it takes to match up with Carlos Condit. I mean, just look at it. Hendricks and Condit fought. Condit lasted 15 minutes with him. Hendricks, I don't even think Kampmann lasted a whole minute with him. Kampmann's got the shakier chin. He's more apt to go down. I think even though he's great both on the mat and standing up, I think Condit is a level above him in both places. So wherever this fight goes down, I have Carlos Condit winning. Even though Kampmann's a game fighter, you're fucking with the wrong dude. Condit gets revenge for one of the few black marks in his career.
I'll fucking weigh in real quick, man. Look, a guy named Carlos knows how to do business. He's old now, alright? He did that favor for GSP. He did a favor for Zuffa in the UFC. Now it's time. It's time to collect on that debt. They're throwing him a little like a... You ever been to SeaWorld where they start throwing fish in Shamu's mouth? That's what they're doing to Condit, alright? Kampmann, it's a sacrifice, alright? Condit needs a win. He's owed that much. He's gonna get another one. God bless him. He'll be back in his element. This fight is going to be a shoot. I'm not saying it's going to be rigged. I'm saying they're throwing him goldfish. All right? And God bless him. That's it. That's the word on the street.
You know, you think about it. Since Kampmann fought Condit the first time, Condit's fought... I mean, since their first fight, both of them have fought just like a murderer's row. Listen, all right, since they first fought, Condit's fought Ellenberger, Rory, Hardy, Dong Young Kim, Nick Diaz, GSP, Hendricks. Kampmann has fought Daley, Volkman, Thiago, Shields, Sanchez, Story, Alves, Ellenberger, Hendricks. Both of those are just such a crazy hard list of opponents, and both guys have winning records during their stretches. So both of these guys are game as hell. Kampmann, if he can take Condit down and bring it to the judges. I see that being one of the only ways he wins, because I don't think he's active enough standing up to even really maintain the pace that Condit does. If Kampmann can take his guy down, maybe. Just like I said, I don't see him being able to work that game against Condit. Yeah, Ross, what do you guys think about the main event?
I think that if Carlos Condit just comes out and just completely rushes Martin Kampmann within that first round, because Kampmann, he's a slow starter, you could say. So if Carlos just comes out and just tries to knock him out as soon as possible, he'll win the fight. But if not, I feel like Carlos Condit is a bum at this point. Once you lose to GSP, you just start losing continuously, and then you retire or get cut. I don't know. But
it's the Dan Hardy factor.
Exactly. You see it with everybody. But, this fight, it could go either way. But Carlos Condit can finish Martin Kampmann within that first round.
Word, Ross?
Yeah, I think Carlos Condit wins this fight. I think he gets the finish. Martin Kampmann likes to start slow and finish strong. And that's a bad game plan against Carlos Condit, who starts strong and just fights strong the whole time if he's fighting you. So we're not going to even bring up UFC 143, but he has fought his last two opponents, and he's fought everyone else. So I forgive him on that. I think he gets it done. I think he knocks out Martin Kampmann around the second or third round. I think Kampmann's not going to ever get into his groove. I think he's going to get knocked out cold.
That's right. All of us do agree that Condit will probably take this one. And I think that does it for a breakdown of UFC Fight Night 27. But before we lead it out, I believe we got time for one more segment. I believe Ramses has a fight tip. It's all you. I don't even need to throw an intro.
Oh, yeah. What's up, people? It's a word on the street fight tip of the fucking week, people. Usually I give out deadly advanced techniques when I'm keeping it basic right now, going back to the 101 class. This is simple, people. I want to teach you guys, just remind you about what I like to call the Tiger Woods uppercut. I used to know it as I'm from back in the day, I'm old school. I used to know it as the Arnold Palmer uppercut. But here's a general rule that you want to keep in mind. Street fights, people always see those wide punches coming, those hooks. Nobody ever sees an uppercut coming, not even in the UFC. But you have to deliver it properly, and all you have to remember is this. The most common mistake people make when throwing an uppercut is they think it ends when they land it. No, people. That's why it's called the Tiger Woods uppercut. It's like a golf swing. It's like when you fucking throw that bowling ball down the alley. You have to follow through. You might have seen it when Dave Chappelle fought Godzilla on Chappelle's show on Comedy Central. When you uppercut somebody, you have to pretend that you're going to punch through their head in a full arc. Alright? It's not going to end when you connect. You have to punch through their fucking skull. You have to continue that swing and finish it. Forward momentum. Don't make that mistake when you throw an uppercut. Don't be afraid. Yes, your hand's probably gonna break. Yes, you might miss and end up looking like a goddamn fool. But you have to commit. If you're to the point where you're throwing an uppercut at somebody, you might as well go 100%, people. And remember, follow through with the Tiger Woods type shit. You have to fucking swing that fist, keep it up there, raised up in victory after you deliver it. Forward momentum always. Use gravity against them. It don't matter. That's the word on the street fight tip of the week. See you next time at the dojo.
Another beautiful fight tip. I love it. You gotta remember when you're uppercutting a bitch or a guy, whoever you're uppercutting, you gotta follow through. It's like swinging a baseball bat, hitting a golf ball. You just gotta do it. And, just watch Tiger winning. I think the 96 Masters, just watch that prime young uppercut. It's beautiful. And that does bring us to the end of the show. Thanks so much for tuning into the MMA Podcast. Let's put it around one last time. Ramses, where do we find you on Twitter? I know you don't have an Instagram, but where the fuck do we go for you to school these fucks?
Yeah, man, there were some people losing their jobs left and right. They follow me on Twitter. Now they're working full-time, you know what I'm saying? If you're sick, you need help, you're depressed, lonely, you're in love, you're happy, you gotta follow me on Twitter, alright? Because there's always something wrong, and I'll just solve all your problems. The Aunt Jimmy Show on Twitter, that's the word on the street. Thank you.
That's right. Yao, what about you? Twitter, Instagram, where do we find you?
Yeah, find me on both at Yao_the truth, YAO_the truth, and follow the MMA Podcast.
That's right. And finally, last but not least, the Jew, Ross Finkelstein. Where do we find the Jew so he can bring the Jew to you?
If you want me to bring the Jew to you, I suggest you head on over to Twitter and you follow at Ross Finkelstein, E before the L. Tomorrow I defend the belt on the word on the street. Wednesday I watch the fights and then I break them down for you on the post-fight show, the final round, 12 a.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday night. Tune in. That's all I got to say.
Beautiful, and you can find us at the MMA Podcast or themmapodcast.com. I've said it before, we're going to be around here a while, so we will be here. Thanks so much for supporting the show, following us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, all that shit. We will see you tomorrow on the Word on the Street, Wednesday on the final round, and then again on Friday for another episode of the MMA Podcast. It's a busy week. It's a super fight week. Thanks for tuning in. We love the shit out of you. We gone.
Science, silencing all these idiots caught up in all their ignorance. Two clans fighting under the same banner. We all got love for this ground game, and that's all that matters. In the balance, the teachings of the grandmasters. I'm trying to master the system, that's what I'm